As many of you know, on Monday we had a launching of a pilot program at Walt Whitman High School on mindfulness, and Congressman Tim Ryan and I did some talks, and there were about 900 people that showed up. It was quite a crowd. And so beforehand I was putting together a talk, to talk about, the value of mindfulness for teens. And I called my son, who was a graduate of Walt Whitman High School, and told him what I was doing. And he himself has been very interested in mindfulness, done some research on it, and it's kind of involved with it in grad school. And after I told him how I was going to talk about how mindfulness could relieve stress and relieve anxiety and, improve executive function and emotional intelligence, I told him my spiel. He said, well, if I was doing it, I would ask them, when's the last time that you really enjoyed the food you were eating? He said, when's the last time you appreciated moments of laughter with a friend? When's the last time you paused and it was raining and you really listened? When you consciously savored the moment. So he said, I'd let them know that mindfulness strengthens our capacity to relax and enjoy our moments, to be happy. So, hence you've got what we're going to talk about tonight here. Thank you, Narayan. But it's a real misunderstanding of Buddhism and of spiritual practices that there's this focus on suffering. And now, just to say, suffering's part of reality, and this is a path to wake up to reality, but part of reality is we have built into us a capacity for joy and wonder and deep peace and contentment. And so the inquiry is really what gets in the way. The Buddha said, I would not be teaching this if genuine happiness and freedom were not possible. So, that's a confirmation. So say it. Amen. So we'll talk about this tonight and next week. Really, what's the nature of true happiness? And you might substitute the word well-being or whatever. There's different words we can use. What blocks it and what's the pathway to waking it up, to nourishing happiness. And it's an opportunity to really investigate in your own life. Is there a kind of mood or set of moods that you get stuck in and you've not really opened yourself to other possibilities? Because we get habituated. So that the opening inquiry, and I invite you, unless you're listening on a podcast and driving, to close your eyes right now. And this is a reflection on your own happiness, based on your understanding of happiness and well-being. And just to ask yourself, do I experience happiness much? In the last few days, today. And when you're feeling well-being, are you aware of it? Is it something that you're mindful of? And do you have a sense of what gives rise to happiness when you're feeling it? And I'll give you some possibilities that are taken from positive psychology of what might be the cause for you. For some people it's sense pleasures, and it may be a bunch of them for you, but sense pleasure. We get happy when food does taste good, or when sex feels good, or when we see beauty and feel a sense of wonder. Another way we get happiness or well-being is when we're really immersed in experience, when there's real engagement or flow. For some of us, it's when we feel relatedness with others. For some of us, we feel happy when there's a sense of meaning in our lives, there's perhaps serving or belonging to something larger. And for some, when there's a sense of accomplishment or mastery. What's your sense for yourself? When you're happy, what is it that is the grounds of it? You can keep considering this, and I'll keep going. If you'd like, you can open your eyes. So the Buddha described two kinds of happiness, and I think you'll find if you don't know them, they'll make good sense to you. And one is a worldly kind of happiness. The Pali word is pamoja. And it's a happiness that is correlated with life going our way in some way. So it's, as I mentioned before, it might be happiness because of it's passing because of some pleasure that's going on, or some sense of gratification through the senses, or it might be being with a certain person, or it might be, or happy because something we've really been wanting to accomplish, we pulled it off. So that's called pamoja. That's the worldly happiness. It comes, it goes, and as we might imagine, it can be very wholesome, or it might not be so wholesome. The second kind of happiness, the Pali word sukha, and it's unconditional happiness. Think of it as happiness with no cause, happy for no reason. That's one of the best phrases in the world. Happy for no reason. And that's considered a place of freedom. So we'll start by looking at the first, at pamoja, this happiness that has cause, because it can be wholesome. It can be a helpful thing. It can create an atmosphere for more of that unconditioned happiness if we hold it lightly. Often we don't. But when it's fleeting, but it can be wholesome, where we really do enjoy that taste, or a great massage, or a perfectly placed compliment like, really, you don't look 60, you only look 58, that kind of thing. Or when our team wins the Olympics or the Super Bowl, and they've measured for men in particular, great surge in the happiness biochemistry, really happens. And sometimes it's a bit longer lived, like the happiness in an accomplishment, or if we're hiking in a beautiful wilderness area, or immersed in a creative project, or happiness when we see our children happy. One of my favorite examples of pamoja, this passing happiness, was told by Maurice Sendak, who you know is the illustrator of children's books. He wrote that one day a little boy sent a charming card with a little drawing, and he loved it. So he answers all his mail, he says, but this one, sometimes it's hastily, but he said, I lingered over this one. I sent him a card and I drew a picture of a wild thing on it. I wrote, Dear Jim, I loved your card. Then I got a letter back from his mother. She said, Jim liked your card so much, he ate it. This to me was one of the highest compliments I'd ever received. He didn't care that it was an original Maurice Sendak drawing or anything. He saw it, he loved it, he ate it. So as I'm mentioning, when happiness comes from these different causes, it can be a very wholesome experience, and we'll explore next week how it's really important to savor them. But here's where the difficulty comes in, and that is that we have a very strong conditioning to fixate to certain vehicles that deliver that pleasure and of this passing happiness, a certain person, our money, our health, that we have to keep it, we need to get more of it. So that undermines happiness when we fixate, when we have to have. As soon as we have to have the world be a certain way, and often it's different than it is, we start suffering because we're arguing with reality. It's when the conditions that we like don't give us, when we don't have those conditions to be happy, we're in trouble because we're dependent on it being a certain way. So there's an inquiry for you again in this, which is to observe today, and you might check it out. And just to ask yourself, in any moment, did you feel a sense of enough? That the moment was fine just as it was? Were you aware at any time today of enough, just as it is, not wanting anything different? Or do you notice that during the day you were pretty much on your way somewhere else, preparing for something, trying to solve a problem, figure something out, get something else done. So often we're trying to get more comfortable or remove something that's uncomfortable. So another inquiry for you is to ask, what really is between me and happiness? Just find out. You might think of a relationship. What's between me and really just being happy, contented, feeling well-being in this relationship? Or maybe you ask that about your body. What's between me and well-being in my body, just as it is? What's between me and happiness or well-being at work? Really get interested. What is between me and happiness in these different domains of my life? And notice if what you find is that whatever you're considering, there's a sense that in some way you're wanting it different. You want something more, something different. That there's a sense that something's missing. It's so interesting. As we begin to investigate well-being, we start seeing how the ego works. We start seeing the ego, or the spacesuit self, as I sometimes call it, that feels separate and is wired. It's really part of our survival wiring to pursue gratification and to avoid threat. And even when we've got some gratification, there's some sense of not enough. Some fear it's going to be taken away, because inevitably it will go. And to the degree that historically we had unmet needs, to that degree, our energy gets very occupied with constantly controlling and trying to get more and avoid bad things. That means we never sense enough. Just ask yourself right this moment, can you close your eyes? Can you feel the life that's right here in your body? And can you sense nothing is missing, nothing is wrong? The core teaching of the Buddha is that the source of suffering is that we want it different. Can you sense how that is true for you? So it goes in a few different directions. One is that our nervous system is pretty biased towards what's wrong. It's looking for possibilities of things going wrong, and it's part of our survival equipment that anything that's happened in the past that's caused us difficulty, pain, injury, rejection, we're scanning for it, and we're just looking for problems. I remember hearing about a group of high school students in the Midwest that pulled this prank where they released these goats, these 3 goats into the school, and they put numbers on them. They put 1, 3, and 4. They canceled school that day because the staff was so busy looking for number 3. But you see what happens? We fixate on something, but we assume a problem. We're rigged to pursue also what will enhance. And there's a sense of never enough, and the more wounds, the more deprivation. We look for substitutes, for love, for safety, and we get addicted to them. So there's if-only mind, some of you are familiar with, and it's the delusion that if only I got this partner, or my body, I lost this amount of weight, or I got this amount of money, or this raise, or this position, then I'd be happy. If-only mind's a really important one to be aware of. Most of us have something, and then we have a smaller if-only mind, like, if only I could get past this big demanding stretch of time in my life, then I'd be happy, Or if only this person would cooperate and be the way I want them to be, then I'd be happy. Ram Dass tells a story. He says, one of the greatest things that happened in my relationship with my father was when he was approaching death. I finally allowed him to be who he was instead of trying to make him into who I thought he should be. And he stopped trying to make me into who he thought I should be, and we became friends. You might really sense that in your life, like what the relationships are like when on some level you're wanting somebody to be different. There's no possibility of real closeness, real intimacy, real sense of happiness together when there's that agenda. So you might take a moment, let's reflect again. I'm going to ask you to keep doing this here and there. This inquiry now is about if only mind. What are you waiting for? What are you linking future happiness to? It's often specific, as I mentioned, to get past a difficult period or for someone to change. Maybe you're waiting for more financial security or for your health to get better. Maybe your if only has to do with recognition in some way or feeling you've given something to the world. Maybe your if only is the perfect partner or that a loved one that's having trouble works it out. Then I can relax. Then I can be happy. See if you can physically sense if only mind. Can you sense how when you're really wanting something and you're waiting for it, there's a kind of leaning forward that now is not enough? It's kind of like you're skipping over now because you're waiting. And then to ask, is it really true that if I got what I'm wanting, that I'd be happy? Is it really true? If we're in the habit of wanting, we keep on wanting, even after we get it. So here's the challenge with if only mind, that there's an illusion that we think we're going to be happy and it doesn't work. We're regularly wrong. And there's some really interesting research now. They followed 13 lottery winners, and found that winners are ultimately no happier than non-winners. They found that paraplegics usually become as content as people who can walk. That we anticipate good things happening will make us happier than we actually get, and that bad things will make us more miserable. We're not good at predicting, and we organize our life around how we think things are going to be. Some of you might remember the story of a young man who asked God how long 1,000,000 years was to him. And he said, God says, 1,000,000 years to me is just like a second to you. Then the young man said, God, what's $1,000,000 like for you? God says, $1,000,000 to me is just like a penny to you. Then the young man got up his courage and said, God, could I have one of your pennies? And God smiled and said, certainly, just a second. So many of you might know we have a biochemical set point for mood, and that mood doesn't change over time even if we get what we thought we wanted. We find the partner or the perfect job, or something bad happens, a dear one, we lose a dear one or whatever. Whether it's good or bad, we go back to our set point in about 5 months. It's kind of interesting. So that's one reason that if only mind doesn't work, that it just doesn't deliver. The other reason is that while we're in if only mind, we're not here. We've left the one place. In the moments we're wanting things to be a certain way or trying to get away from things being wrong, we've left the one place, presence, where if we could learn to really be, we could touch really the depth of what brings happiness. In the moments of seeking something, we're leaving the place where true gratification is source.